Good morning. We have Aswin with us.
Hello.
Hello, Aswin. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
And first of all, congratulations. You qualified UGC NET in code 17 for JRF and assistant professor both. And I guess you are still pursuing your MBA and still you qualified.
Yes, I'm yet to complete it. Thank you so much for asking.
Aswin, can you tell something about yourself? Your academic background, your place, so on.
Yeah, I'm from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Did my schooling here in Coimbatore, and after that I did my electrical and electronics engineering bachelor's here itself. And I worked in Bank of India for more than 2.5 years. And after that I worked in Indian Bank. I was a PO in Indian Bank. I was selected in the IBPS probationary officers examination. After which I resigned. I didn't quite sync with the banking thing. I wanted to do something better. I wanted to do something even more. So since my father was from a university background, he suggested me UGC NET would be a very good option. And it was. After going through its syllabus and the scope for it, I was pretty much happy with it, and I decided to go through it.
So that's the reason you opted UGC NET, right?
Yes, correct. Yes. So
can you share your preparation strategy with us?
I wanted to teach also. Also good. Yes, I would love to share my strategy. The actual thing is in UGC NET, the syllabus is very vast, more or less like the UPSC, because for paper 1 you have a lot of subjects to cover, and paper 2 you have an even greater number of topics to cover. And number 1, usually people feel stressed about the information overload. There are 2 things for preparing. Number 1, in order to cover a lot of material, you need to have time. Else, if you're not having the time, you need to have the capacity to cram a lot of material, process it, apply it in the form of if they're asking any numerical questions, and remember everything. I was quite new to this material because I'm still doing my MBA. The material was vast, and thankfully I got Human Peritus to guide with me. Even then, the material was very large to cover. So what I did was, fortunately, I was able to come around a methodology for alternative learning, wherein you can actually harness the brain waves for optimal learning capacity. It is called photo reading, which helped me a lot. In that, you can learn at the rate of like a page a second, which is more or less like opening the subconscious and the unconscious reserves of the brain. Why I'm saying this is because there are a lot of methodologies to optimize ourselves, because unless and otherwise we improve ourselves every day, in one way or the other, we'll tend to slow down. And this is a competitive world, and this is a very competitive examination. So I used that methodology of photo reading, or zoxing, which they call it, to go through the material. And I suggest all the freshers or even the experienced candidates to check out that methodology, because it has helped me a lot. But even after preparing or learning, going through all the material, what helps us in the end is brute force revision, because the book material provided by Human Peritus was actually good, because that was the only guiding methodology. I didn't refer to any other internet sources, because Human Peritus itself has a vast reserve of knowledge. And I suggest one of the basic preparation strategies is, after going through the entire material, you have to revise it again and again. And the second thing that gave me the ultimate edge was the question bank and the mock tests, because based on my experience in previous bank examinations, unless and otherwise you're taking mock tests, unless and otherwise you are encountering a lot of alternate questions that need applied knowledge, you need to have an edge. And the question bank that provided a vast reserve of questions, I had to revise it like 3 to 4 times, because once is not enough. just doing it once is completely not enough, and the explanations we have to not only working the question out, we need to know the explanation for each and every option. Why is it that given? Not only we need to know what is correct, we need to eliminate the wrong options, because that's the method I used in this examination. There are a lot of matching questions where you have certain category A matched it with the category B, and you have to it can be easily dealt with if you know how to eliminate. So number one, go through all the material with whatever methodology that is possible. Number two, revise. Number three, revise. Number four, revise. That was the strategy I used.
So, Ashwin, would you like to share some time management tips, like how to divide time for paper 1 and paper 2?
For preparation, yes. Paper 1 actually can be completed within a span of 2 months, if less than 2 months, maybe in a span of like 40 days. For the first full month, I would suggest at least 5 hours for paper 1, and then working out a lot of questions, because paper 1 has a lot of theoretical side, because the environmental knowledge, the history of education in India, they mandate us to know a lot of dates, events that happened, and a lot of policies need to be by heart. And for Indian logic, we need to know a lot of terms. Plus, there are a lot of quantitative aptitude. The reasoning is very good actually. You can go through the reasoning, and quantitative aptitude you can just do the basic questions, because they are not as difficult as they are. Quantitative aptitude, absolutely you will be able to cover it in a short time. The very crucial thing is Indian logic, the reasoning part and the theoretical part. You need to revise it over and over again so that you get the concepts clear. I would suggest the time management of 5 hours for the first month, for the first 30 days for paper 1, so that you gain a grip. After that, you will be able to, you can just allot 2 hours for the second month, for the next 10 days or 15 days. That will be more than enough. And daily do a question paper for half an hour. That's enough. But for paper 2, I would suggest after the paper 1 revision time ends in the first month, paper 2 requires at least 6 hours of preparation every day, because you have a lot of formulas, lot of concepts, lots of theoretical material that includes the theorists of management, such as F.W. Taylor, Douglas McGregor, Joseph M. Juran. We need to know everything in a sound and clear manner, because we can't expect how the questions will be in UGC NET examination. And all I'm saying is not to memorize it, but to understand every single concept. After understanding the concept, then you can go to the theory, the different thoughts of the different theorists. And going through all this, including statistics and marketing management, human resource management, they have a lot of different concepts, multifaceted concepts. I would suggest at least 6 hours a day if you're preparing from scratch for at least 2 months, so that you get a really good command over what the concepts are declared, or at least you'll be able to eliminate a lot of choices in the examinations. You'll be able to get a good hold of what is being said. So 5 hours for paper 1 for the first month, and then you can choose 2 hours. For the second paper, absolutely for the first 2 months, you need 6 hours of preparation, because if you want JRF, you need to prepare, definitely.
So is there any common mistake that normally students made during their preparation or examination?
Yes, actually, many people tend to put less weight on paper 1, which I don't suggest, because paper 1 can be the deciding factor in case of marks, and it is actually easy. You can never leave any syllabus from paper 1, and you have to do paper 1 as a first priority. If you want to leave any syllabus, any part of the syllabus, let it be the English comprehension part, because you'll be able to get through it even without preparing. That is a common mistake, because people don't tend to put a lot of weight on paper. Not everyone, just it's a common misconception. So I would suggest treat both the papers equally, and revise. They forget to revise. They just think they can remember everything, and finally it backfires. So I would suggest brute force revision.
So any tips for future aspirants? Any suggestion?
Absolutely. Number one, in order to deal with a lot of information overload, we need to have a stress-free reading mechanism. And I would suggest not to go through mind maps a lot, because many people these days tend to use mind maps because they think that's a fancy way of learning. That's a good way to remember a lot of things. But in UGC NET, it's like taking notes and doing mind maps is a kind of stressful work, because you'll have a book full of those if you do it. I would suggest a lot of stressless reading practices like photo reading or super reading, alpha reading, whatever you may call it, because the cutoffs are very high, the competition is very high, and the students will naturally be stressed. So I would suggest alternative learning mechanisms or strategies to go around with the preparations of the students, because that worked for me. That's why I'm sharing it.
So all the best for your future. I hope you will doing great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us and giving.
And my thanks, all thanks goes to Human Peritus for my success.
Thank you so much.
That's what I took about.